This is Shakil Ahmed. In this video, we will discuss about uh, various types of layout uh, of input and output components on a page of a Shiny app. Basically, we need to adjust different types of different input options and different outputs on the same screen. Or we can uh, create different multiple windows on the same page. So let's start with the simplest one. Uh, this is the structure of the functions we use in a Fluid page. The Fluid page consists of starting with the Fluid page, and we are just closing the Fluid page. That basically we can write user interface is equal to a Fluid page. It means we just see a Fluid page consisting a title panel that include the title of the page, and then we can create different types of layout. So here I am creating a sidebar layout. uh, Within this layout we have a sidebar panel and a main panel. So this there will be a sidebar panel just like this, and there will be a main panel like this. So this is the next or hierarchical structure of the functions, the Fluid page and the title page is within the Fluid page, and then the layout we are using for the page. So let's see what is the Fluid page does. It sets up all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that Shiny needs. It will consist of all those functions that create HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in the Shiny app. So you don't need to specify or don't need to convert them into HTML. This function does all these tasks. And fixed page works like just Fluid page, but it will fix the maximum width which stops your apps from becoming unreasonably wide or bigger screen. Sometimes we will get unreasonably larger screens, although our input is just limited to a portion of that page. So we can fix that using the fixed page command uh, function, and we can use the fill page that fill the height of the browse and is useful if we want to make a plot that occupies the whole screen. Then we just will use the fill page option to create such type of plots. And now sidebar layout, how we can how the sidebar layout works. So within the Fluid page we have a title panel. This is the title panel. Uh, this whole page is the Fluid page, and we have title panel, and under the title panel we have a layout that consists of that is called sidebar layout. So it consists of a sidebar panel and a main panel. So within this sidebar layout we have further two options: the sidebar layout and the main panel. So we can just see this thing with an example. Just to take an example, for example, I just want to see the center limit theorem that under the sidebar layout, and sidebar panel consists of inputs, numeric, that is a numeric input. We need to enter a number, the sample size, and the label is sample size, and the built-in sample size is 2, and the range is 1 to 100. And the main panel consists of the plot output, that is histogram. And there is a Reactive programming here, if you just change the sample size, the histogram will be changed automatically for the mean of the sample. And what output we get, the render plot option, we will get a histogram uh, that will include the means of a replicate, 1000 values with a mean of uh, we are basically generating 1000 samples with uh, mean of the data generated from a uniform distribution with sample size, and basically we are generating a sample of different sizes 1000 times, and then we are just making a histogram of the means. We just created a vector here, and then we are finding the histogram of that vector, and the break is 20. Although you can set the uh, another numeric input as the number of breaks or number of bins, but here I am just we are just the user just change the sample size and the histogram will be changed automatically. So let's see how this works. I'm copying this and we can just paste here and then check if there is any labs. So let's run the command. There is an error, and can just see within the render plot option. We have means and then histogram. So let's run again. I think it should be run. Now this is the central limit theorem. You can just see how the distribution of mean changes when you change the sample size. If I change the sample size to 10, it will go more close to the normal distribution. If you change sample size to 20, then it will more tends towards the normal distribution. If you just change it to 200, the distribution will become more tends to the normal distribution with the mean zero point 0.5. Basically, we are generating data between 0 and 100. So the mean is between 0.44 and 0.56, around zero point 0.6. So this is the distribution of sample mean. And what we have done here, we have just created a fluid page, then give the title to the fluid page, and then we created a sidebar layout with sidebar panel that consists of the input. If you see, this is the sidebar and this is the main layout. That is called main panel. And the main panel consists of the plot output. And how we can render the plot output? The render plot option, and then we create the mean vector based on this is dependent on the sample size, and that is the input. And then the histogram, we just created a histogram with for the mean vector of the mean with breaks 20. If you change the break, you will get different number of bins. And then res 96 means you will get the same histogram if you just run the histogram code in just RStudio. You will get the same thing as you if you run on the RStudio. So this is just an interactive plot on RShiny with a simple layout that is called the sidebar layout. The sidebar layout consists of two panels, the sidebar panel and the main panel. And now we will create the row column, a fluidRow option that consists of different columns. So we need to have, if we need more if you want to do more partition of the screen and of the page in different rows, that is, for example, this is first row and this is second row and we need third row as and so on. Then what how we can do with under the fluid page option, we will run a fluid row and that consists of different columns, and the total number of columns are basically 12. So we are just dividing these columns into two groups, one of 4 and the other of 8. Basically, we need more space on this side and less space on this side. Similarly, this is equally distributed 6 and 6. So we need to create two, for example, if we need two rows, then we need to run two float row functions. Just like here, this is the basically commands for this layout. You can just see, and these codes are basically just under the uh, float page option. These are, and this is the bracket we are basically closing here. And within float row, we have float column this and float column this, and then we are closing this float row. And this is the another float row. If I just want to partition, this is float row 1 and this is float row 2. I will just color it as this. So these are two float rows within the float page option. The first column occupy four columns out of total 12 columns, and we just do in you can just see in example of video 4 I have already posted, that consists of different number of columns and different number of rows. And the next thing is we need to create the multiple page layouts instead of a single page. We can just create different pages uh, on the uh, same uh, dashboard. So we have tab panel that creates the illusion of multiple pages, and we need to use tab set panels. Tab set panel that creates a container for any number of tab panels. And tab set panel, you can just see how we can run. Just we need to start with tab set panel and then a tab panel that consists of importing data and consists of a file input. We are just basically we are doing this on first tab, and on second tab that starts from here. Let's start with setting a parameter and then third tab panel. So we have three tabs for on this page. Uh, if you want to see, we can just try to run these codes. Although we have already example on next, I think we can just run this code. We have fluid page and then sidebar layout and then text output and then main panel. Here main panel is divided into different tab set panels consisting three tab sets. Tab set tab set panel that consists of tab panel 1 and tab panel 2 and tab panel 3. These are just named as panel 1, panel 2 and panel 3 and you can just call them later here input tab set. So we can just copy this and we will try to run this and we'll see how the output looks like. You can we can just change the UI part and the server part we will just leave blank the server part and you can see then tab panel another tab panel. This is basically the tab set panel and on tab set panel we have the ID of tab set and then tab panel 1, tab panel 2 and tab panel 3 and then this bracket is basically we are closing the main panel. If you just click on this this is using the tab set panel and this is closing the main panel and this is closing the sidebar panel sorry and then this one is closing the fluid page panel and we have server function. We just need to remove the other one. The server function that consists of an output and here just we are writing paste means we are writing now you are on panel. This is the number of panel 1 panel 2 panel 3 that is 1 2 3 we are written here. So let's see how it works. We can just stop previous one and then we will run the new app. Now you can see we have multiple pages. It means we are just selecting panel 1. Now you are on panel 1 and if you change now you are on panel 2 and if you change this now you are on panel 3. So we have just created 3 pages instead of only 1 page. And you can do different type of analysis or you can specify different types of outputs for the users. They can see of what they choose in their panel, first panel, and then they can go for the second one and they can go for third one. If you have longer headings for such type of panel, then you can use the list command and you can create vertically instead of just like this. But I'm not discussing this for the sake of time and that's all about the panel layout of the Shiny app.